Oh, do you go back and forth from Florida to Tennessee, or Tennessee's your home?
For the time being, yes. Yeah.
Okay. I'm in Daytona Beach, so
Okay.
very nice. What part of Tennessee?
Just outside of Chattanooga.
Ooh, hi everyone. All right. This one, Kristys Sumner, is my guest. Okay, get a cup of coffee, get a tea, maybe get a drink, because Kristy's going to blow us away. I've already been on her website. Do not go on her website yet. Go afterwards, because we've got some things to talk about. I want you to meet Kristys Sumner. Now, this is the coolest thing, because I met Kristy just by chance on a Facebook page. So Kristy has another beautiful twin. So there's two beautiful women out there that are investigators of the paranormal.
We are.
And if you know me, you know I love anything to do with paranormal. And my daughter does too. Let me just yell for her for a second. Alana, do you want to come out here? We both. Okay. All right. So I guess the first question really would be who, what, why, how, when? Like when did you know? And your sister, how did this all come about?
Well, it all came about actually from a girls' trip. My sisters and I have always enjoyed the paranormal. We've always been fascinated by it. And we always said to ourselves, if we had the opportunity to conduct a paranormal investigation, we jump on it. And we all live in different parts of the country. So we decided that routinely we would get together and take girls' trips to different locations. And in 2014, we decided to go to Moundsville, West Virginia, which is where the West Virginia State Penitentiary is located. And we had a friend of the family that sat on the board of that facility, and he said, why don't you stay the night one night when you're here and see if you can connect with any of our resident spirits. So we did, and just left that experience with some amazing unexplainable evidence. So we were capturing footsteps, we were capturing voices that we couldn't explain, doors slamming when we knew that there was nobody in the area. So after we left Moundsville, we decided that we wanted to formalize Soul Sisters Paranormal. So we came up with the name, the theme music, the logo, because we wanted to see if we could kind of elevate the paranormal community, if you will, on a professional level. Because when you tell people that you're a paranormal investigator, they either look at you like you have two heads, or they want to tell you their ghost story. And now it's that they want to tell us their ghost story. And so if we can bring that level of professionalism to the paranormal community, then that's what we were looking to do. And so after we did that, we started going to these amazing historical locations and telling the historical narrative of those locations and seeing if we could find any evidence, paranormal evidence to back up the stories.
Oh my gosh, I love that. So first of all, do you have a t-shirt? Do you have,
Yeah.
I just want to show the t-shirt if you have it close to you so we could show the logo.
Oh, I don't have it. I don't have it with
logo?
me just now. No, I don't have it with me just now.
By the way, your logo is cool. It's kind of like the skull. It's really cool. I saw the shirt. So you have stickers?
We do have stickers. Yep, we do have stickers. We have merchandise. We have a whole merchandise line. But thank you for the comment on the logo. I actually designed that with a tattoo artist, and it's very symbolic of what we do. To your point, it is a sugar skull, and it has a cross on the forehead to represent our faith. And then we've got the halo that's kind of askew because we're not all perfect. And then we've got wings because we wanted it to look a little feminine. And then we've got keyholes keyholes in the eyes for exploration. And then the heart and the chin for love.
Oh, so do you and your sister have a tattoo?
No.
Oh my gosh,
No,
but that is a beautiful tattoo.
It would absolutely make a beautiful tattoo. But I wanted it to have that feel. So I knew that a tattoo artist could capture that for me. So I sat down and really decided what I wanted it to look like. And then we just designed it together. It was actually a pretty cool experience.
Oh my God. So has anyone showed you their tattoo of your logo?
No, but if anybody has one, that would be awesome. It is trademarked, just letting you know. I do have the trademark on it, but if anybody wants to get one, let me know.
Okay, so that they could get the logo from you, but they have to put the TM.
Yeah, exactly.
I love that. I think that makes sense. It's one of those logos that pop out at you, and you're like, oh, it makes sense to merchandise it.
Exactly.
All right. So thank you for the background, because that's really neat. Is it either are you a believer or not you per se, but when you're meeting people, is it one or the other, or have you been able to convert someone from not actually believing to walking away because they've seen it and then they can believe?
Well, that's an interesting question. The way we present our videos and the way we present what we do is we provide you with a historical narrative of the location that we've investigated. And then we tell you all the things that we've controlled for. So, noise pollution, light pollution. We take account into everything in the area. We really do a background research on the location and really find out what could influence it environmentally, what could influence it to cause people to think that it's haunted. And so when we control for all of those things that we control for, what we're left with is what we call the unexplained. And so we present the historical narrative followed by our investigation and the unexplained evidence that we found while we were at that location. And when people look at that, I think they get a different understanding of what paranormal investigation is and what we do. And because of that, I've had people come to me that said, I don't believe in spirits, I don't believe in ghosts. And that to me is absolutely fine. I'm not trying to convert anybody, but what I'm trying to put out there is the evidence that we found when we controlled for these variables, and coupling that with the historical perspective of it. And so if somebody comes to me and say, well, you've converted me, that's fantastic. If somebody comes to me and says, well, I don't believe it, that's fine too. I'm just presenting the story as we want to tell it, based on the evidence that we found.
Oh, I love that. I have to share with you, of course. I actually, oh my gosh, I try to think how many years ago, but it had to be in the 80s. I got a chance to hear and meet Lorraine and Ed Warren.
Wow. Very
And
nice.
yes, and to tell them a story of my ex-husband, Steve. I hope you don't mind sharing the story, but and my ex-husband, he felt that he had grown up in an area that definitely had some hauntings, and also there were 3 homes where all the women tried to harm themselves. And I think 2 had succeeded. And so he asked me to ask Lorraine Warren the question. But it got to the point where I could call her. So I remember actually I had friends over. We were watching what was it called? The one in Pennsylvania.
The Conjuring, the movie The Conjuring, or
no, one of the first ones that they did. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it just escaped me. And anyway, so the show started. I said, we could call the Amityville Horror. I said, we could call Lorraine Warren if anybody wants to talk to her. She's, there's an actress playing her part. We could ask her questions. No way. Oh my God, I was the coolest. I picked up my rotary landline phone, called Lorraine, and she answered the phone, talked to everyone in the room. What a lovely woman she was. Oh,
that's fantastic. That it's very interesting to follow them and what they did and how they did it. I'm asked that question a lot about them and my feelings towards them. And what they did was absolutely fascinating, and how they did it was fascinating. The interesting thing about them was they didn't have to do it in this day and age where there's social media and all of the, all of that instant feedback or instant criticism about what you do. So that is, I would love to see what they would find in this day and age and how they would conduct themselves in this day and age. I think that'd be an interesting case study if we could do that. Somebody who had to investigate and do all of that, sort of not so much in a vacuum per se, but in a time when it wasn't so scrutinized, because obviously what we do now is very much scrutinized. And so to your point earlier, we do have criticism to people. I don't believe that. And again, my feeling is on it. That's fine. I'm not trying to convince you of that.
I think that's brilliant. That's a great question too. What could it have been like for them? I think they would have held tough like you and just, believe or not believe. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so my story would be, because I remember my mom had just passed and I had moved to Daytona Beach to open up an art gallery, and my daughter had gone away to like her friends, and I said, new community, new friend. We're still a hotel, haven't moved to a place. And I was at the hotel. I just dropped her off and I got ready for bed, and I was lying in bed and I was like so anxious. Like the anxiety was so hard for me because I really felt like, I'm all alone and with my daughter, and it just was so scary. And all of a sudden I felt my mom, and she literally, I felt the sheet go and I felt tucked in.
Wow.
And I knew there was not I knew it was my mom. It was such an overwhelming, great feeling.
Mm-hmm.
And then when we moved into our new place and I was walking, and all of a sudden I felt her hand on my hip. I was walking right into the chair. It was dark, and it was like my mom moved me just enough so I didn't hurt myself, which I thought was interesting because my mom fell because there was something that was placed in her when she was walking in the dark. So I was like, ooh, okay. And so it is. So I guess it could go 2 ways. You could be really scared, or it could be that great feeling of of just support, right? And
Mhm.
just comfort that they're with you. And that's what I think of. What do other people think when they like when you're a believer, but are you a believer and it's scaring you? I'm not sure what that looks like for some people.
A lot of people do ask us, when we do this, do you ever get scared? And the way I answer it is we get startled a lot. When we go into these locations, you can't be in a a former maximum security prison and hear a door slam and not be startled by that. But it's not scary per se for us because we do go in with that research mindset. Like we want to find the answers. So we will actually run toward the noise rather than away from it because we want to see if we can find the answers for it. To some people it is scary. A lot of people, when we tell them what we do, they're absolutely no way, would never do that. But again, it's one of those things that we found that we absolutely love doing. It's amazing because we get to have this very tactile experience with history, right? I get to walk up the stairs of the St. Augustine Lighthouse or stay the night in the Ma Barker House or Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary, and that's not something that a lot of people get to do. So to be able to bring that experience to our audience is really the highlight of what we get to do with this.
So I'm ready for your Netflix show. I can't wait for it to come in. But Hulu is also something to look at. They actually have some great originals. So
Mhm.
maybe forget Netflix and go to Hulu. Your website. So when you go to the website that's listed here, soulsisterparanormal.com, and you look at the videos, they're really fun. Actually, they're so well done. They're almost like ready for TV, in all
Oh.
honesty. But I guess you can take your phone. To me, I'm like, I start watching, like, oh, I'm going to watch them on the big screen because I really want to cast it. You've got great videos in there. And I was watching one, I think, I think you were on the floor and you were asking, the spirit what their name was, and then if what their he said he was killed, and you were asking him what your name was. And let me see which one it was. Wait, where? Oh, where's my? I want to
That's
see what.
that almost sounds like a majority of the investigations we do.
What are you using? I'm sorry, I'm looking at my phone, everyone, not to be rude, but I want to just see which one that was. It was so interesting. Oh, the old Southern funeral home.
Oh, yeah.
Can you share a little bit about what was going on there?
Yeah, so the Old Southern Funeral Home, it was an amazing investigation for us. This is located in Attila County, Mississippi, and it was an operation as a funeral home up until the mid 2000s. So I think around 2009 is when it closed. And essentially, when the owners closed it, they just locked the door and that was it, right? So when you go in there, when you go up into the embalming room, right, all of the embalming fluid is still there. There's false teeth from people that had died that their owners never reclaimed their belongings, watches, glasses, all of these items that were never reclaimed. So it's almost like you step back in time to when it was an embalming room. They have the chapels there. The people that run it now, they actually got a couple coffins to put in there to make it look like you're in an actual funeral home as well. So it was very interesting because a lot of people don't think of a funeral home per se when they're thinking about paranormal investigations. But for us, it was one of those that, a funeral home is an area that very seldom sees happy events, right? You go in and there's a lot of energy, there's a lot of sadness, a lot of emotion, and that really does get permeated into the walls. And so when we went, it was just my twin sister Jenny and I, and we were conducting multiple experiments during the night. And one of the interesting things is we have a device called a spirit box, and it's essentially an AM/FM radio that's been modified to sweep through frequencies. So when you turn it on, it goes as it's running through all of these AM and FM frequencies. Like, it's going through, I think, an eighth of a second, it's hitting another frequency. And so the idea is that spirits can use the white noise to communicate with who's ever listening. And so we were asking questions, and I said, "Can you say one of our names?" And the spirit box said Jenny. And so we thought that was very interesting. And then when we got up and we left that, what we call the session, when we got up and left that session, I have a night vision video camera in the room, and you see us leave the room and turn to the right to go to another room. And the voice recorder that remained in the room captured another male voice saying Jenny again. So now we have two devices, the spirit box and the voice recorder, both saying the name Jenny, which is validating because we've got two things where we've captured this name. And that's obviously my sister's name. So that was pretty
Oh, it
fascinating.
is. Oh, chills. Okay. I
Yeah,
didn't know
sorry.
that.
I guess I should have prefaced that. My twin's name is Jenny. So we captured that. We also have a device that we have that we carry called a K2 meter, and it measures electromagnetic energy. So essentially, if I put this down in the middle of the room and there's no power anywhere around it or acting upon it, it shouldn't alarm in any way. So it has a light array on it that goes from green to red, red being high energy. So again, if I just set it down in the middle of the room and there's nothing there, it should never jump up to red. It should always stay on green. So there were instances in the funeral home where we're sitting there, there's no power acting upon this. It's sitting still and stationary. We're asking questions and it starts to illuminate as something, some type of power is acting on it. And so that was very validating as well. So the old Southern Funeral Home is a great place to investigate for paranormal investigators.
Gotta watch the video, guys. It's pretty incredible. So now what happened? So the guy, he says, my Kevin, he answered his name was Kevin.
Mhm.
Now, what
Yep.
if you were able to get his name, the day he died, his last name, and then cross-reference it to a list? Have you ever been able to do the cross-referencing?
We've actually done that, absolutely. So there's, something like, for example, the Ma Barker house. We're in the Ma Barker house, and Soul Sisters Paranormal has been the only team to investigate that location thus
Really?
far.
Congratulations.
Oh, thank you, thank you. So it was a great investigation for us. But to your point, we were using that same device, that spirit box, in that house. And just for a quick backstory, this was the house where the 1935 shootout happened between two members of the Barker Karpus gang and the FBI. And it culminated in Ma Barker and Fred Barker being killed in this house. Now, one of the members of the gang was called out. His name was Alvin Karpus. He was not in the house at the time. He was subsequently captured, but he wasn't in the house at the time, but he was a member of the gang. So Jenny and I were sitting, it was just the two of us in this house, and I was asking questions. And I said, was any member of the gang here? Are you with us? Can you say the name Alvin? And through the spirit box, it came Alvin Karpus, which I never said the last name Karpus. I just said Alvin, and it said Alvin Karpus. And so that was extremely interesting because the chances of a radio station saying the name Alvin Karpus when I'm asking this box to say Alvin Karpus are, I mean, it's astronomical. The coincidence that would be. Another instance is we were up in that house as well, and we were up in the room where they found the body of Ma and Fred after the shootout where they were killed. And we had that spirit box. And as I said before, it is very quickly going through radio stations. So theoretically, you should never hear a phrase because it's going so fast. And I said, what happened in this room? And through the spirit box, it said, they murdered us. We the ones dead. And so that was very compelling because that was their story. And so to answer your question, that allows us to cross-reference that, yeah, there was a murder in this house and it was Ma and Fred Barker. And so, yeah, there's been numerous times where we've been able to cross-reference names to individuals that are said to be in that location or had been in that location when they were alive.
Whoa. All right. So, silly question right now. Can a ghost, can you, so there's always a thought like that you could take a ghost out of the house and like carry it with you. At one point, my son, he was living with his girlfriend in Willimantic, Connecticut. And every night at 2:00, she was a nurse. She worked the late shift. Every night at 2:00, he was having, and like how to describe it, the old hag on top of him. He was waking up. The TV would turn on.
Wow.
He would have that, and he could not breathe. He
Mhm.
could not, to the point where he said, Mom, pick me up. I can't do it anymore. Jackie understands it's just too much for me. Like, I can't do it. And I remember in the car, I was like teasing him, but really not teasing him. I'm like, what if you took it with you? Like, what if it's coming home with you? What if it's in a paper bag? Like, I don't know what that looks like. And I know that sounded so silly, but was that silly? Can
No,
it
not at
follow
all.
you?
Not at all. So the threat of an attachment is actually very real. And a lot of, most of us in the paranormal community, we do take that seriously. The way we mitigate that is we say a prayer of protection before we go into the location, and we say a prayer of protection when we come out. And then when we're in the location, we set our boundaries. And what I mean by that is we go in and we say, this is who I am. This is why we're here. You're not allowed to touch us. You're not allowed to harm us, and you're not allowed to come home with us in any way, unless I give you permission to touch me. So, for example, if I'm trying to communicate with the spirit of a child, I will routinely put my hand down and say, can you touch my hand? Or can you give me a high five? Or something like that. And in that instance, I'm fine with being touched. But to harm me in any way, we really set our boundaries for that. And we've been fortunate enough not to have any of that type of experience. I do think that people who go in with what I call the wrong intentions are the ones that have the most, I guess, attachments to them. And but what I mean by that is if you go in and really try to provoke, or go in with bravado, or go in and say, I don't, I don't respect you or anything like that. I think that that is where your chances of getting an attachment or getting some type of physical manifestation of a a scratch or something, I think that's when that will occur. But for us, we go in with a sense of respect for both the location and for any spirits who may be there.
Well, I teach corporate etiquette, so I think I have no problem teaching spirit etiquette.
There you
And
go.
I've always been kind, and I think that that's important even with the Ouija board. And yes, I was the kid that grew up with a Ouija board. I
Mhm.
think there was a little period of time when I was like 11, 12, you say something, mean to the Ouija board to try to cause trouble, but then you turn the light back on and you scream for mommy and daddy. So it's really scary. Now, encountering a spirit can be life changing. I was my first real time was in Phoenix, Arizona, at a hotel, and I had gotten into the hotel, and all of a sudden I was like getting ready for bed, and all of a sudden I heard the door open, and I said, "I'm in here." And then I didn't hear anything, and then I said it again, and I heard the door close, and I was like, "What is going on?" And when I walked through, it was like a suite. When I walked through the little kitchen area, I felt the cold, and
Mhm.
I just knew. It was strange. I just knew. Like,
Mhm.
I didn't hear the door close. It wasn't like someone had come in. It was really, I just knew. And from that
Mhm.
day forward, I actually have to sleep with a light on,
Oh, wow.
or some kind of light on, because it was frightening enough to me that
Mhm.
I really felt the presence. And the next day, everyone was like, "What happened to you?" Because of course I didn't go back to sleep. My eyes were all like dark, and
Aw.
I just didn't really feel well, because it was scared me. That was scary. It didn't feel like someone I knew.
Mhm.
And I know that they said there was a lot of people that died on the mountain,
Mhm.
which is right behind us. So I'm not sure what that meant, but it is life changing. So can you share a
Yes.
story of someone that you know that was positively affected, and then or negatively affected
Well,
by meeting a
And,
spirit?
there's tons of stories like that. I'll just share one personally for me. I was extremely close with my nana, and she was married to my granddaddy. And granddaddy died in 1986, and I'm actually named after my nana. And so after he died, we even became closer at that point. And so in 2016. I had a very, very vivid dream, the most intense dream I've ever had. And it was granddaddy. And he came to me and he said, I'm waiting for your nana. You're going to be getting a call soon. And about 2 weeks later, my nana was in an accident. She slipped and fell and broke her hip, and she never really recovered from that. She was 94. So we ended up putting her into hospice, and she was in hospice for probably about 3 or 4 weeks before she ended up passing. And on the day she passed, and I had permission from my family, on the day she passed, about 2 hours after, I looked at my sister Jenny and I said, I know where she's going. She's going to go meet granddaddy in the spot where I had this dream, because it was very vivid. It was in the house that they shared together, in a very specific room, his office. I said, I know where they're going. So we grabbed some equipment and we went to that house. The power had been turned off because there was nobody in it at the time. And so we had those K2 meters that I mentioned earlier. And so we stood in the room in the spot that was depicted in my dream. One K2 meter was black and one K2 meter was gray. And I said, Nana, are you here? And both of the meters started going off. And I said, just to confirm, can you just go to the gray meter? And it did, right? And then I said, can you stop? And it did. And I said, now just to confirm one more time, can you go to the black meter, not the gray? And they're side by side. And just the black one went off. And so through a series of questions, we were able to determine what I felt was Nana meeting up with granddaddy, and they moved on to they ascended to whatever's next. I'm a Christian, so I'll call it heaven. They ascended to heaven after that, because we went back a week later and did the exact same experiment with the exact same tools and the exact same questions, and we didn't get anything. there was no feeling, there was nothing. And for me, that was extremely peaceful, right? It was validation that they met up together. Meeting up with Nana was Granddaddy's unfinished business. They met up together and they ascended after that. And to me, it was extremely peaceful that there was a loved one that was there to greet her, and they moved on from there.
Oh, that is so, so beautiful. I find, I lost my parents, but I find that when I speak with them, actually, they listen now more than they did before. But like the other day, I asked them to speak to my daughter, and next thing you know, within 15 minutes, she came over, and everything that I had kind of said, she said, and she even seemed surprised. She looked surprised that she was saying it, and I was like, and she just looked surprised. I said, "Oh, this is coming from Grandma and Grandpa because I just
Oh.
asked them to talk to you." It's like the strangest thing. Like I don't know if it's me and I'm like crazy, or I
Oh.
really feel like that they are. But to that case, when you when with it, it's just a. I guess I want to understand. So like when I'm in the shower, my mom can't see me, right? So she can't say, "Adrian, you haven't like you keep eating, stop eating so
Aw.
much." Like she was always weight conscious. So, but like they don't see that, right? They don't. What?
Honestly, I don't know if they're voyeurs like that, but I do know that there have been instances where we're talking and they interject. So, for example, we were at the Lizzie Borden house in Fall River, Massachusetts, and this was the site of the 1892 murder of Abby and Abby Borden and Andrew Borden.
Ugh.
Lizzie Borden was suspected of being the murderer in that case. So we're in the Lizzie Borden house, and when we do an investigation, the right when we walk into the house or the location, we turn on our voice recorders there, and then they run for the duration of the investigation, whether it be 6, 8, 12, 24 hours. We always have voice recorders running. And so then we set up other stationary equipment that will leave running throughout the night. So we were setting up our equipment, and Jenny and Michelle had their voice recorders, and myself and Miranda and Cara were up in another location. We were upstairs. So Jenny and Michelle are just standing there talking as they're setting up equipment, just talking about random things like the day, and anything paranormal, just having a conversation. And when I went back and listened to that audio, I'm listening to them talking, and a man's voice interjects, and he goes, "I'm standing right here next to you." So
Ooh.
you hear that voice. They don't hear it in the moment, but it's captured on the voice recorder. And then another instance that same night, Jenny and Cara were in the parlor where Andrew Borden was killed. And again, they were just talking to the two of them, and they were comparing the Lizzie Borden house to the Villisca axe murder house, which we had investigated prior. And so they're just talking, and Cara makes mention of that would be a horrible way to go. And a man's voice said it was. And so it was
Oh.
intelligent, right? It knew that they were talking about it, and it interjected in the moment into the conversation. And so to get back to your point, I do think they see us. I do think they interact with us. Just not a lot of people listen to pick up on that conversation.
That gave me like a full body chill. It's still affecting me. I actually have that. I don't know what it's called. That feels like a chill. By the way, Connecticut had the story. So I grew up in Connecticut. I grew up in Meriden, Connecticut, and
Okay.
my bestie is in Southington. And Southington, the old, actually across the street from her parents, is that old mortuary. What do they call it? The the funeral home that they were embalming, and that was the story of another story of the of
Mortuary.
Lorraine and Ed. Yeah, I think they made a movie of it, something with Connecticut, The Haunting in
Oh
Connecticut.
yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think
That
so. Yeah,
that
that's
story.
it.
Yeah, so we drive by that house, and it's always like, "Ooh," you can
Same.
feel it. But I'll tell you, the story is in Connecticut is that nobody could live there. Like for a long time, nobody was living there. I think now they finally like redid the whole thing and put up a new home, and now people are living there. But for the longest time, you didn't know if it was because the story was real or nobody was really interested in living there at all. I love talking to you. Can you tell me what's behind you? Is there anything that you have?
Like in the background here.
Yeah, I see a
Yeah, so
statue.
actually at my friend's house. Miranda Young from Ghost Biker Explorations. She's another paranormal investigator. We became friends through the paranormal. So I'm actually at her house right now. And so she's got some artifacts and stuff behind me. We've got the little mummy back here, and that we've named him Cantu because that's the Egyptian god of travel. So, but she just has some frames and stuff of some different things and different investigations that she's gone on. We've actually started a business together, so I'm here visiting her right now to really get that business up and running.
Oh, that's good. So I kind of was going to ask you that because I'm all up to business. I love business. I'm a score chair actually of our new Volusia Flagler score. That I just because I love
Nice.
business so much. So how is this a business for you? Because everything I see, it looks like you are very giving, and you're offering your videos to watch, and you're offering clothing, merchandise, but at a very fantastic price. So what is your goal for creating an income? How are you creating an income now? And so, you don't have to answer. I'm just curious how that ties in for you, because I didn't get a feeling that you were charging people. Do you charge if someone wants an investigation?
We don't. So everything that we do is self-funded. Everything with Soul Sisters has always been and always will be self-funded. As you mentioned, we do have some merchandise. That's just to kind of to help with some of our investigations. But all of this has been really an act of love, if you will. The investigations that we go on, like I said, are self-funded. We put the videos on YouTube. We don't monetize them. My feeling behind that is I don't want somebody to say, oh, you're finding evidence because you're monetizing and you want more viewers, right? So we're never going to monetize our videos. We want them to be out there so people can watch and enjoy them and make their own conclusions about what we find. So to your point, Soul Sisters Paranormal is self-funded, and we do not make any money off of that. What Miranda from Ghost Biker Explorations and I have done, we've actually rented a haunted location. And so for that, what we do is we will charge. It's a museum. It's inside a jail that was built in 1904 in Huntsville, Tennessee. It's called the Historic Scott County Jail. So we just opened this last Saturday. We have museum artifacts in there from the time it was a jail, a bunch of law enforcement artifacts, things related to the county and Tennessee law enforcement as well. And then we offer paranormal investigations. So if anybody wants to come and actually stay the night and do an investigation in the location, then we offer that up for nighttime investigations. We'll have ghost walks, we'll have historic tours, and we'll do other things with the community. And that's how we'll build our income through this. But as far as Soul Sisters, that will always stay self-funded.
I want to share that. So make sure I have that information, because I definitely want to share that. Alana, do you want to talk? My daughter's Alana. Do you want to ask Kristy, because I have it on the headphones, about the shadows that you see? Are you curious? This is my daughter, Alana.
Hi, Alana.
Do you want to ask? I think you can't. Can you hear Christina? Oh, am I wearing this, but I'm not really on this? Wait, let me see. Kristy?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Only me. Okay, so Alana, this is such a. So you probably heard the. I thought I was undercover there.
No, I can still hear. Yeah, I can hear you.
So funny. All right, do you want to talk about that you sometimes see shadows?
I don't know. I don't tell people.
Oh, we just told the world. Do you? Is it like? Do you want? Do you have a question? What? Tell us a little bit about when someone feels that they see shadows.
We've had several instances where we've seen them. In some cases, it will be like out of the corner of your eye in your peripheral. You'll see something walking by or standing there that you're not anticipating being there. The two best examples of shadow figures that we've captured was at Brushy Mountain State Penitentiary. We've been there twice. This is in Petros, Tennessee. This was a penitentiary that was built in 1896, and it was in operation until 2009. But during that lifespan, it became a maximum security prison in the state of Tennessee. And so it's one of these locations that has a large facility. So we're investigating there, and we've there's one instance where we were investigating in the gymnasium, and we had some things that like what we call trigger items in the middle of the gymnasium, like a glow in the dark ball. We had those K2 meters that we spoke about earlier. So things that just give off small ambient light, but otherwise it was completely dark inside the room, inside the gymnasium. And so we were standing back about 15 feet from this stuff in the middle of the gym. And I thought I saw a shadow figure run in front of me and cut off my line of sight to everything in the room. And we just so happened to have a camera guy there because Miranda was filming with us. And so her camera guy actually was able to capture it when it ran back again. So if you watch our Brushy Mountain video, it's called The Return to Brushy Mountain, you'll be able to see that shadow figure that we captured in that investigation.
Oh, wow. Wow. So honor when you see a shadow, because it probably is. All right. A couple more questions and I'll let you go.
Sure.
So the camera. So so when we went to Savannah with Alana, you're taking pictures in the dark, and hoping to catch. And so I don't even know if I should wear this anymore.
Yeah. Put that back on, because I can hear you better with that.
Okay. So what does that mean? That you would when you're taking pictures in the dark and then you could see orbs or different things. Why is the camera picking it up but the real eye is not?
Well, the theory is that because spirits are made up of energy, that the camera will be able to pick it up in that instant shutter speed, that the human eye won't see. Now, to that extent, however, I am not a quote unquote orb person. Very, very rarely will you see us put anything out there that is orb related. Now, I think it's possible that spirits can manifest as a circle of light. But for us, there are so many other explanations that an orb can be, such as dust, raindrops, spiders in some instances coming across the lens of a camera. And there's so many other variables that it could be that we just really, we kind of shy away from saying an orb is paranormal in our minds. And that's just Soul Sisters Paranormal. You can ask another team and they can give you a completely different answer.
I like that answer. Okay. And then when you go to like St. Augustine, and I don't know if they're doing this anymore, but a couple of years ago, they give you like a magnetic thing, like that, like it finds electricity or something.
Yeah. Like electromagnetic meter. Yeah.
Is that real?
Mm-hmm, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
really?
and that's essentially what the K2 meter is, right? It finds electromagnetic energy. The K2 meter is actually used by electricians to find power lines in a wall of a building or something like that, or find a power source. And so paranormal investigators have just used it, has modified it to go on paranormal investigations, again, based on the theory that spirits are made up of energy.
Amazing. All right. So when you take your podcaster to work day, I'd like to go with you. It really is so cool what you're doing.
Well,
and if you, when you're are you ever in Florida? I saw you did a few things.
Yeah, I'm from Ocala originally. I'm a 4th generation Ocala native. So right now I'm not permanent up in Tennessee. I'm going back and forth between Ocala and Tennessee. So yeah, I'm in Ocala quite frequently.
Oh, that's so awesome, because I love to just support. So I'm so excited that we got a chance to talk. I want to promote you and your work, and then your what are you calling it in Tennessee? Are you using the terminology?
It's the historic Scott County Jail in Huntsville, Tennessee.
All right, so that sounds like an experience that's definitely worth it for Halloween.
Yes,
that's one of my favorite holidays, actually, just because I really do honor all of our spirits, and I think it's important for all of us to I don't know, if you believe, you believe, and then I love that I believe. I've always been a believer, and I'm glad I'm open to it too, because I wouldn't want to not believe something and be closed off and then not experience what I experience.
Exactly.
It really does feel good. So, all right. So it's been 37 wonderful minutes with you. Honestly, anyone could go on for hours with you. Get on it. So it's soulsistersparanormal.com. I'm going to tell you, spend some time, get your cast going so you can watch it on TV, because this is way better than any of the other shows. I love your editing. I love the whole thing. I don't know if you wrote scripts for this, but you're doing a really great job. You are definitely ready for TV.
Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate that. That means a lot.
Oh, you're awesome. And you're so beautiful. I'm so excited to get to meet you. Thank you for your time. I'll send you the copy of this, and just have a great holiday. Be safe. Thank you so much.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye. Oh, thank you so